David works 14 hours a day. Chris stops working at 6 p.m. David thinks Chris is lazy. Chris thinks David is trapped. They're both wrong, because one of them forgot how money actually scales, and the other forgot that smart work means nothing without painful years of hard work first. But when you follow both of their lives for the next 10 years, the gap between them becomes almost disturbing. One ends up exhausted, dependent on every paycheck, still running on the same treadmill he started on. The other builds income that keeps paying him even when he's not working. And the crazy part is, the harder David worked, the more invisible the trap became. Because when you actually break down how people become wealthy in the real world, most people are confusing effort with leverage. And that mistake can quietly cost you decades. Let's make this fair. David and Chris are both 22 years old. They both make $45,000 a year working entry-level jobs. Both hungry, both disciplined, both willing to suffer for success. But they believe in completely different paths. David believes in pure hard work. He picks up overtime constantly, works weekends, says yes to every shift. His mindset is simple. If he keeps outworking everyone, eventually he'll become financially free. Chris also works hard in the beginning, but he becomes obsessed with one question: how do I stop getting paid only when I'm personally working? So while David spends extra hours making more money today, Chris spends extra hours learning skills that could make money tomorrow: marketing, sales, content, business systems, investing. At first, David thinks Chris is wasting time. Chris thinks David is trapped, and both secretly believe they're smarter than the other. In year one, David looks like the clear winner. He's working 65-hour weeks. His income jumps from $45,000 to nearly $70,000 with overtime. His family respects him. His coworkers respect him. People call him a hard worker. He buys a nicer car, starts paying for dinners, feels like he's finally moving forward. Chris still makes around the same salary as before, but after work, instead of taking extra shifts, he spends 4 hours every night learning high-income skills online. Most of it feels useless in the beginning. Nobody praises him for sitting alone watching marketing tutorials at midnight. Nobody claps when he studies sales psychology on weekends. His friends think he's overcomplicating life. David looks successful, Chris looks confused, and this is where most people make the biggest mistake of their life, because hard work gives immediate rewards. Smart work usually looks stupid at first. That's why almost nobody sticks with it long enough to see the payoff. By year 2, David is exhausted but proud. He's now making around $78,000 a year, but there's a hidden problem growing underneath the surface. Every dollar still depends on his physical presence. If he stops working, the income stops immediately. His lifestyle also quietly expanded. Better apartment, car payment, more eating out because he's too tired to cook, more "I deserve this" spending after stressful weeks. He feels richer, but his freedom hasn't changed at all. He still needs permission to take a vacation. He still checks the clock every morning. He still sells hours to survive. Chris is still behind financially on paper, but small things are starting to happen. A friend pays him $300 to help run ads for a local business. Another pays him to edit content. Tiny wins. Nothing impressive. Most people would quit here because the effort-to-money ratio looks terrible. Imagine spending hundreds of hours learning something just to make your first $300. David laughs when Chris tells him about it. David made more than that in one overtime weekend. But what David doesn't realize is that overtime scales linearly. Leverage scales exponentially. By year 3, David gets promoted. Finally, his salary jumps again. Now he's making close to $90,000 a year. He feels unstoppable, but his responsibilities also explode. More meetings, more stress, more pressure. His boss calls him during weekends because "you're reliable." His income went up, but so did the weight on his shoulders. He tells himself this is what success feels like. Meanwhile, Chris launches a small online service business, helping companies create short-form content. At first, he only has 2 clients, then 5, then 8. He hires a freelance editor because he physically can't do everything himself anymore. And this changes everything. For the first time, money enters his bank account from work he didn't personally complete hour by hour. That feeling rewires his brain completely. Being lazy? It doesn't. In the beginning, Chris actually worked harder than David mentally. The difference is where the effort was directed. David put effort into earning more hours. Chris put effort into escaping the need to sell hours forever. By year 5, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. David now makes just over 6 figures. From the outside, he looks successful, but look closer. He wakes up tired. His stress is permanent. He's scared to quit because his entire lifestyle depends on his paycheck. Missing work feels dangerous. He owns expensive expensive things, but almost none of them make money. And despite all his years of grinding, his income still has a ceiling. There are only so many hours a human can physically work. Chris, meanwhile, has gone through complete chaos. Failed projects, clients leaving, months where income dropped hard, sleepless nights wondering if he made a terrible decision. Because smart work has something hustle culture rarely talks about: delayed uncertainty. There's no guaranteed paycheck while building leverage. That's why most people emotionally can't handle it. But slowly the systems start compounding. His content business grows mostly through referrals now. Old videos bring in new clients automatically. He invests profits into index funds and digital products. Some mornings he wakes up with money already made before touching his laptop. And psychologically, that changes a person, because once you experience income disconnected from your direct labor, you can never see work the same way again. But here's where the conversation gets dangerous, because people hear this and suddenly think hard work is useless. That's not true at all. In fact, the reason most people fail at working smart is because they're trying to skip the hard phase completely. They want leverage without skill, freedom without discipline, passive income without building anything valuable first. The internet sells this fantasy constantly. Make money while you sleep, escape the 9 to 5, automated cash flow. But what they hide is the brutal front-loaded effort almost every successful person went through before the leverage kicked in. The reality is this: smart work usually looks like hard work for years before it pays differently. By year 7, David starts feeling something he never expected after all his grinding: resentment. Younger employees are making money online. Some entrepreneurs he knows work fewer hours but make more than him. He tells himself they got lucky, but deep down, he's starting to realize something painful. The system he built only rewards him when he sacrifices more life, more hours, more energy, more stress. Chris now makes less predictable money than David month to month, but his upside is dramatically higher. Some months are slow, other months explode. But every year the systems become stronger. His audience grows. His investments compound. His business generates leads automatically. The work he did years ago is still producing results today. That's leverage. Effort once, reward repeatedly. David has to restart from zero every Monday morning, and this is where the real separation happens. Hard work by itself is noble, but it's fragile. Smart work creates assets, skills, systems, investments, content, businesses, things that continue working after the initial effort ends. The wealthy are not just people who work hard. Millions of people work brutally hard and stay broke forever. The wealthy are usually people whose work keeps paying them repeatedly. By year 10, David has earned a lot of money over his career, probably more than most people his age, but he's tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. He spent a decade sprinting on a treadmill that only speeds up when he runs faster. He realizes something terrifying: if he stopped working for 1 year, most of his financial life would collapse. Chris also worked insanely hard for the decade, but his effort created leverage instead of dependency. His investments now generate returns. His business operates with systems. His content brings opportunities without constant outreach. He still works, but he works from choice now, not survival. That's the real flex nobody talks about. Not Lamborghinis, not watches. Control over your time. And the truth is, both men misunderstood success in the beginning. David thought working hard automatically creates wealth. Chris originally thought working smart meant avoiding hard work. Reality humbled both of them, because the people who actually become wealthy usually combine both at the right stages. In the beginning, you probably need to work hard, extremely hard. You need skills, discipline, reputation, experience. But if all your hard work only increases your hourly value instead of building leverage, eventually you hit a wall. Your income becomes trapped inside your personal energy levels, and humans burn out. The smartest rich people in the world understand this deeply. They use hard work to build something that eventually reduces the need for constant hard work. A business, investments, media, equity, systems, teams, assets, something scalable. That's the part social media usually misses. Working smart is not about avoiding effort. It's about making sure your effort keeps paying you long after the work is done. Because if your entire financial life depends on waking up tomorrow and grinding again from zero, then you don't own your income. Your income owns you. And the next time someone tells you to just work harder, ask one question: harder toward what? Because there's a massive difference between building a ladder and running faster on a treadmill. And if you think working hard is the problem, wait until you realize most people don't even understand what money actually is or why it keeps trapping them. Because once you understand how money really works, you start seeing why some people stay broke no matter how hard they grind. That video is next.